Ladies and gentlemen, try to imagine this. You walk into a place after many months of absolute quiet, and suddenly, there they are. The narcissist from your past, looking directly at you, examining you like a map they once thought was theirs to own. But understand this one key thing. They will never admit it openly. They are not returning because of deep affection, regret, or real concern. They are appearing because they sense a change, something they no longer have power over. Your inner strength, your steady peace, your inherent light. Today, I am going to explain exactly what happens the minute they see you again and why that one meeting can totally transform the direction of your life. The comeback of a narcissist after a long time away is almost never accidental. It might seem unexpected on the surface, a sudden text, a chance meeting, a casual hello, how are you really? But hidden beneath that simple moment is a planned response to a feeling they have picked up on. Narcissists are extremely sensitive to shifts in authority, attention, and emotional availability. When you become quiet, when you withdraw your focus, when you stop supporting the connection that used to be centered entirely on them, they feel that deeply. For a narcissist, silence is not emptiness. It feels threatening. It signals that the control has moved, that the pattern they relied on is shifting in ways they cannot predict. This is why their return is never truly spontaneous. They show up the minute they realize you have become a new version of yourself, one they cannot easily influence or command. Your disappearance forces them to confront a reality they absolutely despise. They are no longer the most important person in your emotional world. And for someone like this, that feeling is unacceptable. Your silence removes the mirror they used to define themselves. And without that reflection, they start to feel unseen, unimportant, and irrelevant. They cannot stand that feeling for long. So when they reappear, it is not because they suddenly understand your value in a healthy human way. It is not because they have finally recognized your worth or want to fix the pain they inflicted. They return because they sense you have regained clarity, inner stability, and personal power. These qualities endanger their ability to manipulate you as they once did. They come back because your silence interrupted the emotional supply system they depended on. And they need to know if they can still reach you, still impact you, still pull you back into those old, familiar emotional habits. The surprising truth is that your growth is what pulls them back, not your previous dependence. They are attracted to the brightness of your healing, the firmness of your new limits, the calm they can no longer disrupt. Your transformation is what triggers their return. But here is the deeper truth. Their return is not a sign of affection. It is a sign of their defeat. It is their reaction to the shift in power, a last-ditch effort to matter in a narrative that has moved on without them. When you understand that their reappearance is not random, you stop seeing it as something meaningful. You see it clearly for what it is, a reflection of your strength, not a reflection of their devotion. Their return simply proves that your silence is working, that your healing is visible, and that you have entered a part of your life where their influence no longer controls your path. And when you realize that their return was triggered by your strength, not your vulnerability, something else becomes perfectly clear. The power of the silence that brought you to this moment. Silence in this journey was more than just not talking. It was the decision to respect yourself. It was the moment you stopped reacting to their chaos and started listening to your own heart. The quiet space you created was not empty. It was a new boundary forming, a new identity emerging, a powerful statement that said, I am no longer available to destroy my own well-being for anyone. That silence, your silence, is what truly unsettled them. Narcissists thrive on emotional noise. Your explanations, your defenses, your reactions, your confusion, your emotional pain. That noise validates their importance. When you stopped providing that emotional soundtrack, they had nothing left to latch onto. For the first time, they were forced to be alone with themselves. and that is the one place they absolutely refuse to be. Silence forces them to face a reality they spend their whole lives running from. And while they felt threatened by your quietness, you were growing stronger because of it. In those weeks or months apart, something within you settled down. You started to hear your own true thoughts. You began to see the difference between genuine care and manipulation, between real affection and control. Silence gave you back your inner knowing, the instinctual voice they tried hard to make you doubt. So when they show up again, it's because your silence broke the pattern they depended on. They returned to test it, to break it, to see if your quiet period was temporary or if it had fundamentally changed you. But what they failed to understand is that the silence transformed you entirely. It centered you. It brought you back to your own self. And that, more than anything else, is what they are truly afraid of. And it is precisely because the silence changed you that their next move is so easy to predict. When they notice that their absence did not disrupt your peace, they try to disrupt it with their presence. And they use the same method they always have, charm. Charm is our favorite way in, their most polished disguise, their easiest way back into a place they never deserved to be. So when they see you again after all that quiet time, they don't start with honest self-reflection or a real apology. They lead with appeal, with confidence, with a warm look that feels just familiar enough to make you lower your guard and just practiced enough to be dangerous. They know their charm once worked like gravity. It pulled you in without any effort. And they hope with all their might that time has not changed that power. You will notice it instantly. Their tone becomes softer. Their eyes look kind. They may give you compliments in ways they never did when they actually had easy access to you. They may try to bring up a small memory, a moment you shared, a funny private joke, anything to get your heart to react before your mind can catch up. But underneath that charming exterior is a panicked truth. They are not trying to reconnect. They are trying to re-enter your life. They are checking if they can still access the older version of you, the one who mistook their charisma for actual care. They hope your silence made you stronger but not wiser, but this time you see what you could not see before. You recognize that their charm is not kindness. It is a calculated move. It is a test, a gentle probe at your boundaries to see if they still welcome them in. And the beautiful thing is that your silence prepared you perfectly for this exact moment. You can feel the charm without surrendering to it. You can hear the music without agreeing to dance. You can watch the entire performance without giving them the stage again. Because now you know charm is not affection, it is a mask, and you no longer mistake the two. And once they realize that their charm no longer affects you the way it used to, something tiny shifts in their expression. It is quick, subtle, almost unnoticeable unless you have learned to watch for it. In that moment, they understand you are not impressed. You are not moving closer. You are not softening your stance. You are simply observing, and this is when their internal calculation begins. If charm fails, what other method can they attempt? And this is where the next truth reveals itself. They are drawn to the light you created, the peace you built during your silence. When they see you again, the first thing they notice is not your clothing or your words. It is your energy. They scan your spirit like someone searching for something very valuable. They want to know, are you radiating more brightly than before? Do you seem more settled, more certain, more complete? Do you carry a feeling they can no longer reach or consume? Narcissists are attracted to emotional brightness the same way a parched land seeks water. They approach your light not because they value it. They approach it because they are incapable of generating their own. When you were involved with them, they fed off your compassion, your tenderness, your willingness to feel deeply. But now, after the silence, they sense your light has changed. It is not something they can shape. It is something you constructed for yourself. And here is the twist. Your light does not just attract them, it disturbs them. They feel strength where they once sensed neediness. They feel boundaries where they once felt open access. They see a centered person standing in front of them instead of someone desperate to please. This completely upends their usual game plan. So when they try to reach for your light with compliments, with personal questions, with talk of the past, remember what is really happening. They are hunting for the older version of you, the one who dimmed her own light to keep things calm. But instead, they find a person who shines brightly without. Their involvement, that realization shakes them more deeply than anything. And when your light both pulls them closer and pushes them away, they move on to the next part of their strategy, testing. Because when charm doesn't get them through the door, they start searching for weaknesses in your defenses. This is where the truth becomes impossible to ignore. They test your limits the minute they are face to face with you. It happens quickly, almost expertly. They will bring up a memory that used to make you emotional just to observe if it still upsets you. They will mention a fault you had long ago, not to heal it, but to check whether shame still holds power over you. They will remind you of a tender private moment to see if that feeling still weakens your resolve. They might even drop a subtle, quiet insult wrapped in a soft tone just to see if you still pull back. These small tests are not random. They are measurements, little experiments designed to figure out if your boundaries are fixed or if they can still be pushed. They want to know if they can still enter your emotional space without your permission. But this time, you feel each test as it happens. You notice the shift in energy. You sense the intention behind their words. You recognize the push, and instead of reacting, you remain centered, because now you fully grasp exactly what they are doing, and you know you no longer have to participate in this game. They watch closely to see if guilt still causes you to lower your posture. They might offer a compliment that feels strangely familiar, a reminder of the praise they once used to keep you attached to them. And if that doesn't trigger a response, they may target an old pain point, quietly referencing a vulnerable moment from your history, waiting to see if your voice trembles the way it once did. These tests are absolutely not random. They are deliberate Sessions. Narcissists have always observed you like a detailed map, where you were vulnerable, where you were kind, where you hesitated to walk away. So when your light shows them you are a different person now, they start pressing those old emotional buttons, hoping that at least one still works. They are not seeking a deeper connection. They are seeking control. And here is the beautiful twist. Your silence has changed the internal wiring. The buttons do not respond the same way anymore. The old wound does not reopen. The feeling of guilt does not flood in. The memories do not pull you backward. Instead, their little tests actually reveal something they never expected: your emotional resilience, your clarity, your new distance. You feel the pull of the past for a brief second, but you do not move toward it. And that is when they finally feel the truth they always feared. The version of you they once controlled has vanished, and the person standing in front of them now is someone they can no longer manipulate with old tricks or old pain. It is in that realization that their power begins to completely dissolve. And when every test they attempt fails, when the past connection doesn't work, when the guilt doesn't change your posture, when the old wounds remain closed, they begin to feel something they never expected to feel around you: fear. Not fear of you personally, but fear of the profound change they cannot undo. Because now we arrive at the sixth truth, the one they hide behind their practiced smiles and their smooth confidence. They are afraid of the new you. This fear appears subtly at first, a swift flicker in their eyes when you do not react as you used to, a minor tensing in their shoulders when your voice remains steady and calm, a noticeable pause when they realize your emotions are no longer something they can access instantly. They are not simply confused. They are intimidated because the new you is not defined by them anymore. The new you cannot be influenced by nostalgic memories, flattery, or emotional traps. The new you thinks, decides, and communicates from a place they no longer have any access to. What they see now is someone who has healed the very parts of herself that the narcissist depended on staying broken. Your quiet confidence makes them uneasy. Your calmness shakes their certainty. Your emotional freedom completely destroys the pattern they once thought could never change. Narcissists need people to be predictable, people whose habits they know, whose hearts they can push and pull whenever they wish. But your personal growth has entirely rewritten your pattern. And it is not just that you have changed, it is that you have become someone who simply no longer reacts to them at all. Someone who does not seek their approval, does not fear their rejection, does not crave their praise. That reality terrifies them in ways they will never say out loud, because the moment they truly see the new you is the moment they understand that their influence is gone, their grip is loosening, and their place in your life is no longer guaranteed. And nothing rattles a narcissist more than realizing they have been replaced, not by another person, but by your own self-generated strength. And it is that fear, quiet but undeniable, that drives their next action. Because once they realize you have become someone they cannot anticipate or manage, they reach for the only thing they believe might still work: your emotional response. This leads straight into the seventh truth. The moment their panic becomes totally obvious, your peaceful distance rattles them profoundly. For a narcissist, your emotional distance is not just surprising, it is completely unsettling. They expect friction, anger, longing, anything that proves you are still emotionally tied to them. But when you face them with quiet steadiness, when your voice does not shake, when your eyes do not look to theirs for direction, they feel the ground shifting beneath them. Emotional distance is the one thing they have no strategy for, because it gives them nothing to use against you. They will try to spark something, anything inside you, a reaction, a flicker of feeling, a small crack in your resolve. Maybe they will pressure you into a very personal conversation, hoping to drag you back into old emotional territory. Maybe they will act hurt, confused, or offended, attempting to make you feel guilty for being strong. Or perhaps they will switch to arrogance, pretending your peace doesn't matter to them. But beneath their performance, their panic increases, because no matter how hard they try, your emotions remain steady, like a quiet door permanently closing in front of them. Your distance tells them the single truth they fear the most. You no longer seek their approval. You no longer follow their emotional rhythm. You no longer wait for closure from someone incapable of giving it. And this calm, this silence, this steady presence is something they cannot begin to understand because they cannot influence it. You have stopped feeding their ego with reactions. You are starving the very dynamic that once gave them all the power, and in that gentle, powerful distance, they realize they have lost something far more valuable than your attention. They have lost their ability to shape your inner self, and nothing terrifies a narcissist more than realizing they no longer have any control over the spirit they once believed would always find its way back to them. And in the moment your distance leaves them totally uncertain, something profound becomes clear, not for them, but for you. This is where the eighth truth emerges. You now hold all the power, because all their tricks, all their charm, all their small tests run into the undeniable fact that you are no longer playing the same part in their story. You are no longer the stage upon which they perform. You are no longer available to be manipulated. You are truly free. And in that freedom, the balance of control shifts completely to your side. They may still try openly or subtly to recover what they think belongs to them. They may test your limits, try to pull you into old emotional arguments, or even fake vulnerability. But the crucial difference now is that you see through every single one of their attempts. You recognize it for what it truly is, an effort to reclaim a power they never earned. And by seeing it clearly, you claim a power they cannot possibly challenge, the power of choice, the power of deep understanding, the power to respond or to simply not respond entirely on your own terms. This power is quiet, but it is immense. It is visible in the calm behind your eyes, in the steady tone of your voice, in the certainty of your actions. It is the knowing that your worth no longer relies on someone else's opinion of you, no longer hangs on someone else's approval, and is no longer something up for negotiation. And as they try to reach, as they push, as they perform, they only reveal the full extent of the control you now have, simply by being completely and fully yourself. The irony is perfect. They returned, hoping to see if they still mattered, hoping to see if their old methods still worked. And in doing so, they ended up proving the very thing they feared most, that you have evolved past them, past the chaos, past the need for validation from someone who could never offer real care. The power is completely yours, and it has been waiting for you behind your silence. And with that power strongly resting in your hands, the ninth truth comes into focus. The one that transforms a simple moment into a critical turning point in your entire life. Your chosen response can finally end the cycle, because now every word you choose, every necessary pause you take, every calm step back or quiet exit carries genuine weight. You are no longer reacting from a place of fear, old pain, or ingrained habits. You are responding with clear intention, and that intention is the key to shattering the patterns that once held you captive. The narcissist will continue to try and provoke, to confuse, to cause guilt, to charm, but you are no longer caught in their current. You get to decide exactly how to engage, or if you will engage at all. One simple, calm statement, one refusal to go back over old arguments, one quiet walk away can cut the invisible ties that once bound you. This is not about getting revenge or proving a point to them. It is purely about reclaiming your peace, your story, your inner world. Your response becomes a clear declaration. The past patterns do not define your present, and they will absolutely not control your future. By choosing clarity over confusion, firm boundaries over chaos, and self-respect over desperately seeking approval, you completely dissolve the power they once held over your heart. And this feeling is powerful, not just for them to witness, but for you to deeply feel. It is the moment you realize that true freedom was never about physically removing them from your life. It was about removing their authority over your feelings. When you respond with calm awareness, you rewrite everything. Their tests, their charm, their efforts to pull you back all become powerless. And in that moment, you realize something breathtaking. The cycle ends not when they change, not when they finally confess what they did, but when you fully step into your own strength, your own clarity, and your own unwavering freedom. And once you claim that level of power, it can never be taken away from you. And when you respond with confidence, stillness, and unbreakable boundaries, the 10th truth appears, the final realization, the one that turns the entire experience into your personal moment of triumph. This is the moment of your comeback. Because the return of a narcissist is never truly about them. It is a perfect mirror showing you the distance you have traveled, the inner strength you have built, and the life you have fully recovered. Their presence no longer brings back old pain. It reminds you of how incredibly far you have risen. When they show up hoping to disrupt your hard-won peace or reclaim what they thought belonged to them, they accidentally highlight the undeniable truth. You have grown beyond their reach, beyond the person you were, beyond what they once completely controlled. And the story now belongs entirely to you.